It's like the ice cream machine at McDonald's. You got to get it worked on. In the House, it is Jeremy England, Mississippi Senator District 51, who's chair of elections. Good morning, Jeremy. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Paul. Doing good. How are you doing?
The ice cream machine, for a long time, it's just baffled me why none of these ice cream machines work. Now I know. We have unveiled this. I mean, to me, this ought to be the number one story above and beyond anything about walls or anything else.
This is breaking news.
This is breaking news. Looks like we're not only the only ones fed up with the McDonald's broken ice cream machines, the feds are now getting involved. The federal government is considering a proposal to legalize the use of third-party repair persons to address chronically broken McDonald's ice cream machines. You would think with all the stuff going on in the world that they wouldn't be centered on this one, but it's a major problem. Problem is that McDonald's owners currently aren't allowed to fix the machines on their own. They have to hire somebody to do so. They have to wait for an authorized McDonald's technician, which can take 3 months and result in more than $600 in lost sales per day. As a result, the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice wants the U.S. Copyright Office to approve an exemption to copyright laws that would allow franchise owners to repair commercial and industrial equipment. As a lawyer, do you understand this?
No.
I don't.
And I can tell you, if the feds are getting involved, I'm not looking forward to those machines getting fixed anytime soon.
Oh, you're probably right. Feds argue that not allowing business owners to hire outside technicians hurts them financially. Apparently, the machine is copyrighted and trademarked or something like that. And apparently they want to protect it, not have just everybody come in and look at it and see how it works because of the proprietary nature. That's the only thing that I can figure. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Guys, gavel in at 10 o'clock this morning, and, man, where are we now? We're getting down as few gray hairs in this 2024 session. It's a long one, but been in there for a while now. And just your overview of some of the major issues. Now, for all practical purposes, the initiative process, because of the Senate, is dead or dead or dead.
Right, it's definitely dead.
Okay.
I would say after talking with Chairman Parker, I think we'll certainly make another run at it next year. I hate that we couldn't get there this year. I had dropped a piece of legislation. I know several other of my colleagues had, and the House, of course, had a few bills over there on their end of the hall, and yeah, we need to get that fixed. But it's a very complicated issue. What was the stumbling block? Was it the signatures? I don't think the signatures were our stumbling block this year. I think it was the actual amount of votes required to put something into statute. I think we were looking on the Senate and the Hall at 60%. So it would be kind of like what you see a school bond issue that requires 60% rather than 50%. And then that bumped up to 67 during negotiations, and I think negotiations just broke down at that point on our end of the hall. But I know.
I mean, was that a good strategy to say, all right, let's ask for more than we know we're going to get? But I mean, it's not like it's a closed circuit of information there. They were asking for 67 and hoping to get a little bit less.
Well, as an attorney, I can tell you, you always start your negotiations up higher, right?
Don't tell that to Trump, though. It's got him in trouble.
Oh, that's right. Well, he usually goes sky high, right? So and he gets where we need to be a lot of times. But, there were a few things that broke down on that, and we've got so many big issues we're tackling this year. I don't think we can not let that be seen as maybe part of the issue with just not moving forward with the initiative process this year.
But there is a possibility that could be revived with House language, or?
In my fifth year, I can tell you, I think there's always a chance for something to be revived, whether you want it to or not. You've always got to keep your eyes open for what can be done.
All right, let's go to story number 2, and that would be the Inspire versus MAEP. Where are you guys in the Senate on that now?
So of course, we want to revise MAEP and put make sure that we're getting more money put into the classrooms on that. I haven't had a chance to look at the Inspire part of that plan just yet. But the good news is on both of those, Paul, is that both of them add more money into our schools. So we've at least got that on the horizon.
Wait a minute. MAEP always did add, but it was never executed. So, I mean, what's the difference?
Well, I think just the difference is where the money gets put into the program, into the formula to get it into the classroom. I think our end of the hall is just a little bit more leery on changing something, making a big change like that. But look, I haven't, again, I haven't looked at the House's
What you seem to be saying is that MAEP is going to lower the amount, retarget it to different areas, and then make it mandatory at a lower amount to fund this year or every year since going forward?
What I know is that we were going to get more money into the classroom. And look, that would be, I'll have to check with Chairman DeBar. I know he's worked really hard on that, and we're so early on that process.
Yeah, ask him if he'll come on and talk to the people. We've invited him several times.
Well, and look, Dennis DeBar is very busy. He's a very good senator. He's
too busy to talk to the people. Okay.
Well, certainly not. Absolutely not, Paul. I wouldn't say that. He's always working for the people. I'll tell you that. And so, but yeah, look, I'll check with him before we get to that. We're headed toward strike calls on those anyways, I imagine.
Is that the next deadline?
That would be, we would take up the House bill, and I'm not on the Education Committee either, but that's what we would end up doing is probably doing a strike call. They'll probably do the same with us, and then and then you'll have the conferees do negotiations.
When is that deadline?
The House bill, we had to move House bills out of committee, I believe, a week from next Tuesday. So again, we're in a longer session here. I wish we were kind of in a regular session right now where I could be looking forward to going home, but I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon.
Is your baseball team waiting on you, or do you still have the baseball team?
I don't coach the baseball team, but I get to go home and watch my son play ball, and my daughter is she's trying out for a play for the part of Annie here soon. So so I've got to get home for that.
You got a red wig or what?
She does, and she was singing for me on the phone this morning before I came in, and she's going to do great.
I see proudness in Daddy's eyes. Let me ask you about PERS. I got this yesterday from an unnamed source here, and there are three good questions on here. And you know what PERS seems to be in this battle is: are we going to reconstitute it to a different board and everything? It almost in my life. In a lot of us, when we have a little more poundage than we need, the last thing we'll consider as a solution is eating less and exercise. We like to find some other solution, and we'll go to the ends of earth to find them. And it kind of like PERS board is there are some solutions there, but everybody dances around them, and I'm not sure if another board's going to be any better able to do that. But here are the questions. Why did the board vote to reduce the estimated return of PERS investment to 7% when it's averaged 9% return the last 10 years? And has anybody answered that question? Number two, why not do away with the basing benefits? This has always aggravated me, too, because it's not one of those things in the private sector that really works. Why not do away with the basing benefits of the highest four instead of base it on total contributions, so that some of the elected officials who make minimal contributions for most of their entire career get a high-paying appointment for their last 4 years and fleece the system? We see that all the time, Democrat or Republican, year after year, term after term. And the third one is maybe if it's a retirement plan, set a base age of 60 years old before you can collect benefits. I mean, that just makes sense to me, and those seems to be some hard decisions that everybody wants to find a magic pill somewhere else. Your thoughts on those?
Yeah, Paul. So first of all, on PERS, let me just make clear that reducing benefits for our retirees is not on the table. Everybody will tell you that. I want to make that clear because I know a lot of your listeners are worried. They're fixed income people that have retired. They worked harder for that retirement. We are not going to change that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the board, no, we're not really getting answers to even questions that we're asking the board. And my opinion is,
back up on that. Yeah, what are the boards? What is the current board failing to tell you?
Well, the questions you asked, for one, why did we bump that down to 7%? The other. The issue that I have a problem with is when we look at other states and what they have going on, and they gain more with their investments more than we do when the economy is doing good, and they lose less when the economy's doing bad. We're not seeing a good investment. And so one thing that I'd like to see if we redo this board is put some financial advisors on there. Again, we're not taking away anybody's benefits. That is not on the table. I just want to make that perfectly clear. But what we do want to do is see our new teachers and our new law enforcement officers. We want to make sure their plan is there for them because they're currently working hard on that. And if we get some financial advisors that can look at that, and I've talked to some, I know that there's some in the private sector that know that this can be turned around, but we've got to quit kicking the can down the road. And we've got to do something, and I think new leadership would be a good start there.
More with Jeremy England. With a song leading to a conversation or question, Whiskey Do What the Whiskey Does. So stand by for that, Jerry. Somebody mentioned to me, and we were talking about this off air, and I thought it was, when you start looking at it from a 30,000-foot view, it is kind of different, but is there one store or one government complex located in central Mississippi where we can go and buy all of the marijuana, and you have to ship that marijuana out to different locations? And the answer is no. Right? Is there for prescription drugs? All of the companies send all of their product to one location, and then we have trucks delivering those to drugstores all across the state. No. How about firearms? How about dynamite if you're worried about the safety of the public? Is there one place where all the dynamite is in a building in Gluckstadt, and we have to have trucks deliver that to dynamite dealers across the state? What about whiskey? Well, why do we do that? I mean, when you start looking at that, you got to ask, is there a reason for that? Do other states do this?
Well, they do, but it's an old, antiquated system. The product availability or what products are available out there nationwide has increased tremendously. I know a lot of people back home that I talk with, my constituents, will go out and they would love to go join a Wine of the Month club or something like that and have it shipped in, and we can't do that. We've had Senator Josh Harkins on finance has tried to move some things this year. I had a bill that was going to allow for sales on Sundays, liquor sales on Sundays, which was really to help our restaurant industry out, and that didn't make it out of the Senate, but we have a House bill, so those issues are still alive. But yes, it's an
the bill where system. You can order if a wine is not available on the market or in the warehouse system. Is that still alive?
I believe it is. I believe it does allow for direct ship. And look, I've got one constituent back at home that sells, and she has to do this in Alabama, but she sells a clean wine that's kind of a more organic product, and they don't do sales in stores. So that's not even something that she can do here in Mississippi, but it's a very good clean product that's really really big among mothers and teachers that like to have a glass of wine at the end of the day.
Well, and every once in a while, like Mr. Wonderful will be on the Shopping Network, and he'll have his offerings at a pretty good deal. And if you just like to try it, it's not available. You'd like to have at least the freedom, but apparently there are politicians in Mississippi that don't want you to have that freedom.
Well, I think it's just, look, it's easy to keep kicking that can, and it's easy to stick with what we've got. That's the easy route. I mean, there's going to have to be a lot of things that change to get us there, but if we start chipping away at it, I think we'll get there eventually.
You got a couple of bills still alive. The election, you got to let me see here. Is this the 2422? Is that one? Election dispute, specify judges with jurisdiction here, has been referred to apportionment in elections.
That's right.
And then you got another one, which is the Mississippi Public Records Act, which is 2406, exempts certain private information of persons conducting in-state operations. What's that about?
Yeah, so that's actually an anti-doxing bill that I've dropped the last several years, and it just other things came up, so it didn't get pushed. But I'm glad we're moving that this year. What that will do, that will help our first responders. Say if they're involved in an officer-involved shooting, this will allow them to go before anything happens. They can go request that their private information, their address, and that type of information be redacted from any online records. So you couldn't have these people that want to go just, hey, this is where the officer lives, or this is where the district attorney lives, and put it out on Facebook or out on any social media. I think that's something we need. I've been working with a member of the FBI on that. That's had some success getting this bill passed in Georgia and in Alabama, and I think it's time we do that here in Mississippi to protect our first responders.
There was another one that I referenced, I think it was a couple of days ago, talking about the NIL, and I think it's Senator Boyd had the, let me see, it's SB 2417, Mississippi Intercollegiate Athletics Compensation Act, and the Uniform Agents Act bring forward sections. Is that just to bring our state codes in line with the NIL?
I believe so. And look, Senator Nicole Boyd's been working really hard on that, and that's a tough issue. I know that she's been, she's talked to our coaches and our athletic directors, and so she's putting a lot of work in that to make sure that Mississippi's keeping up with that quickly changing issue that I think, look, and this is just my opinion, NIL has gone beyond what I think it was originally intended for, where we see these athletes, have a good year, jump into the transfer portal, and look to get paid a lot. I think it was more, when I heard NIL the first time, I thought of, of course, the video games, the name, image, and likeness, jersey sales, things like that, but it's really gone beyond that, and there just doesn't seem to be the college aspect of it is just kind of disappearing. It seems to be more semi-pro ball than college ball.
Yeah, it's almost like one of those pinball machines. When you pull it back and shoot the ball out, and the flipper, it goes. You never know where it's going all over the place.
That's right.
I do want to ask you about this one though, because you talk about that one. You never know where it's going to be next with the technology and with everything else. Is the digitization. You've got a bill 2577 create a criminal penalty for wrongful dissemination. Man, that's gone crazy. With a couple of clicks on the student's phone that they have, probably concealing under the desk, they can have a naked picture posted with a face somewhere. And I mean, those things and we've got to have some new laws on those.
That's right. And my bill deals more with elections. Senator Chris Johnson had a bill that dealt more with what you're talking about with sextortion and things like that. And as a matter of fact, the definition that I use for digitization, I borrowed Senator Johnson's definition for that to make sure that we're consistent in our code when these bills pass, because that is on the rise. The AI technology there, you can't tell the difference between someone's voice or someone's image when AI gets a hold of it and digitizes and makes it seem like...
Well, video and audio. I mean, if anybody wanted to do it, they could take what you are doing right now off the air, video and audio, and have you doing a commercial for Joe Biden in 15 minutes.
That's right. Or say you could have Donald Trump's voice and say, "Look, I'm dropping out of the race." Well, that affects people's voting, and that we've got to step in and make sure we don't see that.
All right, before time runs out, I want you to give us a scope of what, because you have 2580, and this one's an in-person early voting bill, and we just need to set some rules and regulations on that one. And what does this bill do? Yeah,
and thanks for asking me about that one, Paul. I'm very excited about this bill. We're one of only 3 states that don't offer some sort of early voting system. What in-person early voting would allow is you would have 15 days to show up at your circuit clerk's office in person, present your valid photo ID. They print you a ballot, and you cast that ballot into a Scantron just like you do on Election Day. This also gets rid of in-person absentee voting, which has always caused issues for our circuit clerks out there with, signing across the flap. And then, of course, you've got somebody has to open that and count it. And the integrity of our elections, perception is so important in our elections. If we can get votes counted on election night, we're doing a better job. And these votes would go into a Scantron and would be counted at 7 p.m., just like every other vote that has been cast. So we don't have to worry about, hey, these are our results, but we've got, 10,000 in-person absentee ballots out there. We're not going to have that anymore. It would go through there, and it's a very secure system. Again, your circuit clerks are your professionals when it comes to elections. They're the ones taking your ID. They're putting you in the SIM system to show that you have voted, so you can't go vote and then show back up and vote. And this is very convenient for our hardest workers out there, our first responders, our single parents that may work a shift work job and have to drive home, pick up the kids, cook dinner, go to soccer practice, and on a Tuesday that just may be tough, and so they may just throw their hands up and say, "I'm just not going to make it to vote." This gives them the opportunity to go vote earlier.
Well, into some people out there who are sensitive and said 15 days is a long time, actually, by reconstituting this law and taking the absentee out, it's actually a shorter period, isn't it?
It is. So right now you can vote in-person absentee for 45 days.
Yeah.
So we shortened that to 15. So we're tremendously. We're not only adding to the integrity of the system, we're shortening the early time available to vote, and you don't have to have an excuse like you do for in-person absentee.
What does that do to, let's say, military ballots?
So military ballots still get mailed out, and we still have mail. We will still have mail absentee ballots, but for military members, they get their ballots mailed to them 45 days in advance. So we are always protecting their right to vote while they're off serving our country.
Right.
So that doesn't change.
Time remaining. It's the ninth inning in baseball vernacular. You got some cleanup here that you might want to mention. Any other bills?
Instead of mentioning any other bills, let me just reiterate when it comes to PERS that there is nothing on the table right now that will change anyone's retirement benefits. If we have retirees out there, we are not taking away any money from them. They're still going to get their COLA check. And so that I just want to the messaging on that is so important because people are obviously concerned with that, and I just want to reiterate that.
Did you hear Steve Holland yesterday said, do you really want to put this in the legislature's hands, though? It's a very good point. So.
It's a good point. Look, I work with some very smart people up there at that building, and I work with some yahoos too, but they just keep it fun.
Always a pleasure, sir. You are always most informative, and I thank you for coming in and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you very much.